Right after I graduated from university, I had two job offers, and I decided to take the lower paying one. Was it the right choice? I will never know. But here's why I did it, and here's why I would do it again. Even if you guys are not a fresh grad anymore, but maybe you've been, in the workforce for a few years, the principles will still apply. So let me explain. So right off the bat, I knew that I only wanted to try and get into these management training programs. It was really enticing to me. I know that, it is tough, it is competitive. A lot of people wanted to get into it, but I felt like I had what it took. And maybe I was a bit delulu, but at the time, I wasn't even applying for any normal roles. I was only purely applying for management training programs. So what happened was, some of them rejected me, of course, but I did manage to get a few offers. The first offer was actually while I was still in uni, so I haven't completed my degree yet. But this was a job offer that was based in Penang. So they needed me to relocate, and they were only offering me 3,800 ringgit. I know that, to some people this is a lot, but considering I had to move to another city, I had to live on my own, I just didn't think that that amount of money was worth me, moving up my entire life. So that got rejected quickly. So I got worried for a while because a few months have passed and I still haven't found the right company that I wanted to join. I was thinking, maybe I should just go back to the company based in Penang. But somehow at around the same time, I managed to get two job offers, two management training programs. And these are two offers that I really wanted. So I wouldn't complain getting either one of them. So the first one was from a well-established bank in Malaysia, and their offer was, I can't remember exactly, but it's between 5,200 ringgit or 5,400 ringgit a month. Back then, that was a lot of money. 21-year-old me was dreaming about having that amount of money banked into my bank account every single month. I would literally splurge and just ball. Like I said, this program is actually very well established. They've run it for a few years, and they don't only run it in Malaysia. It's also the entire, well, not the entire, but a few other countries in Southeast Asia. So yeah, it was a pretty big thing. Another thing that made me really want this program initially was that it was very well structured, and I did want to get into a bank. So when I was younger, my dream was to become an investment banker. I didn't even know what investment bankers do, but it just sounded cool, so I wanted to get in. So this was a really good opportunity for me to try and get my foot in the door. Then the second offer came in, and it was from a telco in Malaysia. Actually, I'll just say the company name because I've also mentioned where I worked before in my life. So basically, it was DG, and they had this program called the CXO Apprentice Program. Nowadays, they don't have it anymore, but yeah, back then it was a thing. So basically, what they were trying to do with this program is they were selecting 8 people out of, I think at the time they told us it was 1,000 different applicants. And these 8 people would shadow the different C-levels that they had. So obviously, me being a finance graduate, I applied to become the CFO apprentice. And after a few rounds of interviews, speaking to the CFO himself, I finally got the offer, and they were giving me 4,000 ringgit a month. On paper, the bank made sense, right? They offered me a higher salary. I did want to get into a bank, but I was thinking hard, and I was considering, these two job offers. And I thought to myself that for the long run, Digi's offer might have been better for me. So why did I end up choosing Digi? I mean, 4,000 ringgit, don't get me wrong, as a fresh grad, it was still really good, but it was still about 35% below what the bank was offering me. And that's pretty big, right, for a fresh grad. Now that I say this, maybe I made the wrong choice. Just kidding, no regrets. So the main reason that I decided to go for DG was that I was going to be able to report to and shadow the CFO. In no other world that I can think of at least, was I going to be able to learn from the chief financial officer of a top 30 company in Malaysia as someone who is a fresh grad with no working experience. I was thinking, getting access to and learning from someone this senior, someone who has already gone through so many things in their career, would really help me out so early in my career, right? It can really accelerate the progress of where I'll be in the next few years. Also, I spoke to him during the interview, so he was the final stage of the interview, and I figured that, we kind of clicked, and I thought he would be a really good mentor for me. If I compared this to the other program, it was structured more like a normal management training program where, you have 6-month rotations into different departments, and you would probably report to different people. There are pros and cons to this, of course. If you, rotate departments, you have different line managers, then you will get a lot more variety. You will learn from different people. Even in Digi, I would still rotate through the different functions within finance, but I would still always report to the CFO. So I am giving out a bit of variety, but to me, it was fine because, like I said, it's a CFO. And this was the key for me. I really thought that early on in my career, in my first job, being able to learn from someone this experienced was worth a lot more than earning, the extra cash as my first job. And this was the key for me. I really believe that having a great boss mattered more to me compared to earning extra money, especially early on in my career. And it wasn't just the CFO, because there were other apprentices, as we call them, reporting to the different C-levels, I could also exchange notes with them and see how their C-levels, manage the company. As someone who was 21 years old, it's not that I had a lot of financial commitments and I had to have a killer income, so I decided to choose a place that gave me the best environment, I would say, to grow my career. So how did my decision turn out? In the first few weeks, I would say I was kind of lost because I was just trying to follow him around, join his meetings and stuff like that. But I was completely lost because these are such high-level meetings. I don't even know what they were saying. There were so many abbreviations that they used, and I wasn't really learning anything. So I got a bit worried in the first few weeks because I thought, maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe I should have went somewhere where it was a lot more structured. So eventually I figured out that I can't just rely on him. I can't just follow him around because he is really busy as well. So he can't specifically give me things to do. So I figured that, maybe it's time for me to be a bit more proactive. And because I was someone who was in the management training program, the other teams were very receptive of me and they actually let me join into the project as well. So honestly, the learning curve for me in that first, even 6 months, I would say, was extremely steep. I learned a lot of things. I managed to join real projects that actually mattered to the company, and I also got a lot of visibility. I remember in my first year, and it was December, so I was about 4 months in from my first job. And in that company, usually in December, a lot of people take time off. End of year, everybody just wants to clear the leave. So office is really empty. So I thought, since I have a lot of free time, there's going to be a new accounting standard that would really impact the company starting the following year. So I thought, let me just go and read up on this accounting standard, try and understand it. And I built an entire model about how this accounting standard would impact the company's revenue and cost as well. So when they were back, I actually showed them this model. I showed them, hey, actually there will be a pretty significant impact on your P&L next year. And they actually really liked it. So they continued using that model moving forward. It wasn't all just given to me. I actually had to put in some effort as well, but at least I was given the opportunity to do these kind of things. So within my first year of work, I already got the opportunity to present to C-levels of a top 30 company in Malaysia. That was really crazy for me to think about. And I didn't get to present, but my work was also shared to the board. So I not only got hard skills, there were a lot of soft skills involved as well, and it helped me build my confidence. So there were things like, how do they solve problems? How do they approach it? How do they think about it? They even taught me how to make slides and how to present these slides through a storytelling manner, which really helped me actually start this YouTube channel. So I'm not sure how life would have been like if I joined the other program. I'm sure it would have been good as well, but just speaking from experience, so I had some friends from uni who actually joined that program. It was good, but it was a lot more structured and rigid. So you take things step by step by step, which, like I said, can be good, but it just wasn't the fast track that I wanted. So this accelerated learning really helped me get my career off the ground quickly. I got 2 promotions back to back in just 2 years, and my salary eventually went above what the bank was offering me. Then when I felt like my career was plateauing at DG, when I was feeling a bit more comfortable with everything, I decided to finally leave and then join Grad, and this was a whole different thing. I also learned a lot there. My visibility wasn't as high, but I still had presentations to the CMO. I still had a lot of presentations to my entire department. And all of this was because I learned how to, for example, present. So it's impossible for me to say, how my career would have went if I went with the bank's job offer, if I went to the bank instead. Would it have been better? Would I have earned more now? I have no idea. But looking back, I really have no regrets. Eventually, learning all of these things, it helped me actually start my YouTube channel and manage it like a business. So these things, they are almost impossible to quantify, right? So what am I trying to tell you guys? I am not someone who has a lot of corporate experience. I actually only worked in the corporate world for 5 years, so 2018 to 2023, then decided to quit my job. So I wouldn't say I'm some expert who can give you guys the best advice for your career, but what I would say is that, especially as someone who is still early in your career, or if you're still a fresh grad, then try and look beyond just the money. Now, I wouldn't completely ignore my salary, so I wouldn't say, hey, even if the offer is like 2,000 ringgit, you should just take it. If DG offered me below 4,000, I wouldn't have taken it because that was the lowest that I was willing to go. And even when I was in DG, even when I was learning, every year I still fought for my promotions because income still matters. But beyond this, think of a few things. So some things I always consider before taking on a new job, and some things I always tell my friends as well, are, for example, who's your boss? Have you spoken to them? I always, before taking on a new job, I always request for an informal chat with my line manager because I want to know how they're like, right? I think to me, a boss is extremely important for your career growth, whether you're going to get promotions, whether you're going to work on important and things that actually matter to the company. I really think that it's better to have a good boss and a bad company than a bad boss and a good company, because if you have a bad boss, things will just be bad. Then I think about my future growth prospects. It really doesn't matter, or it wouldn't really matter if you have a job that pays you high now, but there's no room for growth. For example, a lot of people these days, they say, hey, if I'm a Grad driver, I can earn a lot of money. If I work in customer service, I do OT, work weekends, I can earn a lot of money. If I work in Uniqlo, maybe it's better than, trying to work in a corporate company because they're going to pay a very low salary. But the thing is, you need to think about it. If you are a Grab driver, if you work in customer support, where are you going to go from there, right? You're not going to grow your salary by very much, no matter how long you work there. If, let's say, you're happy with your salary, if 6,000, 7,000 is enough for you, you think, then yeah, by all means. But if you're ambitious, if you want to grow your career, if you want to grow your income, then you need to think about what's next for you. So for me, salary is still very important, but it's not everything. Try to think a bit beyond your salary. I really hate saying this because a lot of my bosses back then always told me this, but I didn't want to hear it. But honestly, salary, it is very important, but it is not everything. So you need to think about things beyond your salary before deciding if you want to quit your job or if you want to stay at your job. Whatever it is you decide to do with your career, just remember this golden rule. This is my golden rule. I probably learned it from somewhere. But basically, in a job, you either get a high salary or you have very good growth. If you get both a good salary and good growth, then perfect. Just stay at the company. If you don't get a high salary, let's say you're paid low, and you don't have any room for growth, then it's time for you to leave. So let me know, would you consider in your life taking a lower salary for the potential for higher growth in the future? Thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. Give me a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.